Welcome to Partially Examined Life Live. As Mark said, I'm a singular genius. You may know me as Philosophy Bro. I'm honored to be here for the 100th episode of Partially Examined Life. Give it up for 100 episodes. Yeah. We're going to be reading the Symposium by Plato, which I'm thrilled about because it's the broiest of Plato's works. And not just because of the homoeroticism, though that plays. I'm not going to read you my translation straightforwardly of the Apology, but I want to talk about the Apology because that's the other big Platonic dialogue where Socrates' personality comes through. I mean, he's a dick in everything that he writes or that he's featured in. But the Apology is where he's been put on trial for corrupting the youth and for being impious and not worshiping the gods. And in classic Socratic fashion, he doesn't really defend himself in the traditional sense of saying, I'm not guilty of those things. What he does is he gets up and he says, well, I'm a million years old and I've never been here in court before, so I'm just going to do my thing, which is how every Socratic dialogue starts. Hey, I'm just going to be Socrates for a while. If you could be cool with that, it's going to be great. And everyone's like, yeah, that's okay. All you, bud. And so he gets in and he says, I'm just going to be Socrates and I'm going to defend myself. The thing is, everyone seems to think oh, Socrates, he thinks he's so great. But really, I don't think I'm that great at all. All that happened is I went to the Oracle, and the Oracle is Socrates, you're the smartest person. And I'm well, Oracle, I'm not one to question, the mouth of the gods on earth. But that doesn't seem like I'm the smartest person on earth. Let me see if I can find someone smarter than me. And that way I won't just be the Oracle's wrong. It can be the Oracle's wrong, it's Dave. That's the smartest person. So I went around to everyone and I was like, hey, you seem to know a lot of things, politicians, and that went as well as you expected. And then I went to artisans and I was you guys make cool shit. You probably know other things too, right? And they're yeah, I know lots of stuff. I made a chair and also I know about the meaning of life. But they didn't. So that didn't go great. And then I went to lawyers and they were just still also the politicians. So that wasn't great either. So the problem is that I haven't found anyone else who knows anything. And I think the only reason the Oracle thinks I'm very smart is because I know I don't know shit. And the rest of you don't know shit, but you're all look at me, I know shit, and you don't. So that was the thrust of his defense. And then he calls his prosecutor up. He's hey, come up here. I've got some questions. No, yeah, you wanted to be the guy who murdered Socrates. Here's your chance, big guy. Get up here. So he calls this guy up and he's so there are two charges, corrupting the youth and being impious. And he's okay, so first charge, you're saying I corrupt the youth. Well, what's good for the youth? And the guy's well, the jury's cool people. They're good for the youth. And he's yeah, good. And the laws? And Miletus is yeah, the laws. And Socrates is and other Athenians and the whole city. And he's yeah, all that shit. You're all great. Vote for the prosecution. And Socrates is so what you're saying is literally everyone in Athens is good for the youth except for me. And Miletus is yeah, I guess that's what I'm saying. Everyone but you. And Socrates is great. You're doing great. So the other thing is you're saying I'm corrupting people. Let me ask you, someone surrounds himself with corrupted things. How are things going to go for that person? And the guy's yeah, not super good. I mean, if a horse surrounded himself with people who didn't know anything about horses, that would be bad for the horse, right? And Miletus is horses, yes, that would be true. And if a lyricist surrounded himself with people who are terrible at music, that would be bad for the lyricist. And he'd be yeah, his lyrics would go just way down. He wouldn't be very good at that at all. And Socrates is so what you're saying is I'm surrounding myself with people that I'm turning into assholes? And Miletus is yeah, I guess that's what I'd have to be saying, isn't it? Yeah. And Socrates is but that'd be bad for me, right? And Miletus is yeah, I don't know why you're doing it either. I don't know why you're putting assholes everywhere, but you totally are. And then the last one is the charge of impiousness. And Socrates is so you're saying I don't believe in gods, right? But I believe in other spiritual things. And Miletus is yes, yeah, this is the big one that I'm going for. This is what I want the death penalty for. You don't believe in the gods, you believe in other spiritual shit. And Socrates, he does this thing where he just says a definition, and because whoever he's talking to can't come up with a better definition, they're fucking yeah, let's go with your thing, Socrates. And Socrates is so your spirits, right? They would have to be either the gods or children of gods, right? And Miletus is yeah, yes, let's say spirits are that, because who knows what spirits actually are. And Socrates is well, so you're saying I believe in children of gods, but not gods. That doesn't work, does it? And Miletus is like, fuck, I shouldn't have let you talk. Oh, you've gotten 180 on me. And then Socrates is like, he makes him sit down and he says, so people ask me like, why didn't you just apologize? And he's like, because fuck that. I am doing what I think is the right thing to do. I'm just going to do me. And all I can do is me. And then if you don't like that, too bad. But I'm not going to live a lie. I'm not going to live a lie for some hypothetical juror who isn't happy about me. And this is Socrates just being himself. And then the time comes to ask for like the verdict. And the jury votes like, we were on his side. And then he was just a huge dick about it to everyone. So they give a guilty verdict. And then in Athens, after a guilty verdict, you would say like, all right, I'm guilty. Here's what my punishment should be. And so Miletus gets up and he's like, yeah, death. That's my thing. Thanks, I'm Miletus. And he has a seat. And Socrates gets up and he's like, well, now I have to tell you what I think I deserve. And his friends are like, fucking please, Socrates, just say like exile. Just be cool about it. And Socrates is like, I think I deserve a parade. I still don't think I did anything wrong. It doesn't have to be like a parade through the streets. It could be like a party with cake. I'd be fine with that. But other than that, I think that's pretty much what I deserve. And then the judge is going to be like, all right, everyone decide what his punishment should be, whether it should be like death or a party. And everyone was like, fucking, we were so ready to vote for anything but death that wasn't a party. We didn't want to vote for death, but the only thing we want to vote for less than death is a party. And so Socrates got the death penalty because the only out he gave the jurors was cake. And I think you'll see through the Symposium that personality of Socrates also really shining through. The Symposium is a bunch of bros getting really drunk, and talking about love, because ancient Greece, and arguing over that. And I think we're about ready, right? You guys, a couple more minutes, we're ready? Yeah. All right. And with that, the Symposium.